What do you think of James Gunn's new DC stuff?
I haven't even paid attention to anything DC related, to be honest.
Here, I'll pull up the list and I'll tell you, because he did, to his credit, the only reason I have any interest in this at all. First things first, he's gonna let the Flash come and go. He's gonna let Shazam,
Yeah.
Fury of the Gods come and go. He's gonna let Blue Beetle come and go, which is good, because I really want to see Blue Beetle. If they make it like a standalone piece that's not like heavily tied to anything, like Shazam 1,
Yeah.
like make it like clear that it's set in a world, just not the world.
It's not the same world, yeah.
The big thing that immediately made my ears perk up when James Gunn started talking about his slate was he said, "Oh yeah, we've mapped it all out. It has a beginning, middle, and an end."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Oh!" And he's like, "It's a 10-year plan, beginning, middle, and end." And I'm like, "Ooh!" Because
Yeah.
Kevin
Sometimes
Kevin
you just wanna
Feige
keep adding on to it.
Kevin Feige is just writing it and writing it and writing it and writing it and writing it, and I'm like, "Bro, you're running out of comics." We literally saw a couple shows just now that adapted like less than popular stories. He has a very interesting plan. He says that it's going to be movies, games, and TV shows where like and everything will be either live action, animated, 3D, etc., right? Like there's variation to it. It's interesting. It's cuz he wants the animated version and the video game version to be voiced by the actors who play them.
Oh, okay, so kind of keeping everything connected that way.
Did you ever watch that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from 2007? The funky 3D one with like the demon monsters?
Yes.
Yeah, that movie, Casey Jones was supposed to be voiced by Quentin Flynn, which is like a notorious video game actor with really good voice acting cred, right? But at the last minute, to sell more tickets and get more fame for the movie, it didn't work out, obviously. So it's a shame they put the money into it, but they switched him out for Chris Evans. They released the behind the scenes audio of Quentin Flynn. It is infinitely better.
I got my own issues, you know? Like back at home with April.
She doesn't like me doing this. And I know she's pretending to not know I'm out tonight, but she knows.
I don't remember, but I was watching this one animated Batman movie, and there was this one character who was voice acted horrifically, and I was like, what is going on with that? And I Google it. Turns out he's like an A-tier actor who was like, oh yeah, my son likes this comic, so I'll take the role, why not? Not all live action actors can voice act. He wants video games to be part of the universe, which I have a problem with because video games have, out of all three mediums, you got shows, movies, and video games. Out of all three of those mediums, video games have the most problems in the dev process. They will get delayed. They will get canceled on a whim. The studio can die midway through development. All sorts of stuff. Like, it's crazy. He has a Superman movie. Unfortunately not starring Cavill. They
I know, sad.
I
I don't
will...
know, the movie might be good, but I was looking forward to him coming back as Superman, and then it was all yeah he's coming, and then just kidding, he's not coming back at all. And we went, oh.
Multiverse as a concept is inextricably linked to comic movies as a whole, so there's absolutely zero chance that we're not gonna see him again. Like, I guarantee you, he will come back in some way, shape, or form eventually.
Something, yeah.
Like, here's what I
Or
want.
make a nod to it.
Here's what I want. Here's my dream for the DCU. I want the final story to be... Have you ever read the comic Kingdom Come? And it's like a Superman who's in, like, his 70s, but because he's Superman, he's still, like, real spry. I feel like that's where you cast Henry Cavill.
Mm-hmm.
Have him, like, literally... We've seen what he looks like in Mission Impossible when you put some gray in his hair. Just do that. Just do that. So yeah, the first movie is Superman Legacy. I will be watching. I am still horribly worried because there are a million elements that you can get wrong here. Firstly, he wants it to be young Superman finding a balance between his Kryptonian heritage and his life on Earth.
Yeah.
I have a problem with this because it has already been done, and it has already been done really well. I don't know if you saw it, but there was an animated movie that came out a couple years ago called Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Like, it's the kickstart of the new animated universe, but you could totally watch it on its own. Like, it just has, like, a light tease. It's like, yeah, this was Superman, but there's more out there. Stick around and see if you want, or don't. Either way, you got the movie, so who cares?
Yeah.
The only reason I was at all invested in the new animated universe was because that first movie was so good. That's a touchy one for me, because that story, you either get it right or it sucks. There's no in-between. Another issue I have is James Gunn. I would love to see what he brings to the table, but I have seen all of his catalog of films. I have seen everything he's done, everything he's had a hand in.
Yeah.
He has a very distinct style and writing, and I don't know how well it will do for a Superman movie. I don't know if it will mesh thematically well. And then the next movie he announced was The Authority. You have, let me guess, you have no idea what that is.
Nope.
Okay,
Not.
it's funny you say that because I have the comic right next to me. Superman, The Authority. This is not a admonition of this comic. Do not buy it. It is garbage. But The Authority is basically a bunch of, like, renegades who do some good. They're heroes that kill. That's the gist. It's weird because not only are they C tier, but they're not popular C tier. And my first exposure to them was in Superman and the Authority, so I have a really sour taste in my mouth for that particular gang.
Oh, yeah.
But, if, like, because James Gunn has taken nobody characters before and blasted them to the spotlight. If I see James Gunn is handling the movie The Authority, I will watch it, and it will probably be good. Next, he announced The Brave and the Bold. It's a Bat family movie.
Oh, which members of the Bat family?
Right now, the only confirmed ones is Batman and his son Damian, which I already have many questions because he wants a young Superman and a young Batman. I want to know how the heck that's supposed to work if Damian is also here. Like, we're not gonna get a lot of origin stories. This universe is gonna sort of hit the ground
he's already
running.
Collecting a child, so.
Well, no, it's the fact that the universe is hitting the ground running is another thing that I like because I am kind of sick of all these origin stories.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of origin stories over the years, and I mean, every once in a while they're fine. Like when you're starting something like the MCU or you're starting the DCU, something that hasn't been done super big like that. But if you've already had several universes started and stopped and started and stopped, we don't need origin story. Just give us the story you want to tell.
Another thing he announced was a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a Tom King run of the comic that came out recently as part of the New Frontier line of DC Comics. Infinite Frontier, that's what it was part of. Yeah, because they had the New 52, the Rebirth, and Infinite Frontier was their most recent big event, and it was part of that. Apparently, it alters Supergirl's past, where like when it tells you, because you know how like her story is, she hits a wormhole on her way to Earth.
Yeah.
So that's why she gets here, and even though she's technically supposed to be older than Kal-El, she's like 16 still or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to tell a story of her in that wormhole. Basically, Ant-Man, basically from what I've seen and read reviews of it, it's basically Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, but good. One of them is Paradise Lost, which is supposed to be a Themysciran show about the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's focusing on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women. He compared it to Game of Thrones, which, okay, make it one season, make it just as good as season 1 of Game of Thrones, and then end it. That's my only thing. Then Lanterns is a story. I think it's doing something interesting because it's supposed to be like an intergalactic buddy cop TV series. I think what it is the Lanterns are going to uncover the big bad of the universe.
Oh, okay.
Because it says they uncover a dark mystery and threat. And another thing it does interesting is it's going to introduce us to Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart simultaneously, which I like because Jon Stewart is my favorite Green Lantern because I grew up with Justice League from Bruce Timm. You know, the one where everybody looks like they all skip leg day?
Yeah.
It had Kevin Conroy Batman. All the good voice actors, in my opinion, the best that have ever been put to the character, because now whenever I read a comic, I just hear their voices. Another one is Booster Gold meshes well with the universe at large. Cool, go for it. You know who Booster Gold is?
No.
You don't? Oh, okay. Recognize.
Oh, yes.
Basically, he's bored of life in the future, so he buys a bunch of future tech, including his AI robot Skeets, and then he time travels to the past so he can shine in front of like normal people. Basically, he's like a fraud.
Yeah.
But he does become a hero. Like if it's comedic fraud, comedic entitled jerk fraud turning into a real hero over the course of like say 8 episodes tops, that can be like a really good show.
Yeah.
Next, another one we got is Creature Commandos, which is basically supposed to be Suicide Squad in the 70s.
Ooh.
He's written all the episodes of the first 7-episode season. Apparently, it's supposed to have Rick Flagg's ancestor,
Ooh.
like his dad or something, maybe his grandpa.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently, they all have a tendency of working for and getting screwed over by the government. Either way, and then the last thing, and the thing I have less than any interest in, is Waller. There's a Waller show, and
a show.
I don't like that because I don't think Waller can carry a show. She's one of those be a secondary character, maybe like a deuteragonist, like a secondary protagonist.
Yeah.
Or she is at her best when she is either a second villain or the main villain. The show can be good. Make it brief. Make it like ultra brief, like
style.
2 to 4 episodes tops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have her at like a conference planning her next big thing with like interspersed flashbacks of how she got to where she is, and that's it. That's it. Don't give her like her own villain or something, because that's not gonna work. The only other thing that like mildly bugs me about the new universe, this is just a chunk, by the way. This isn't even the full first phase. This is just a chunk.
Yeah.
And the first chapter of the DCU is called Gods and Monsters, which bothered me to no end because I was watching it live at my old job, and when he said Gods and Monsters, I fell out of my chair because Gods and Monsters is like a really popular movie from the DC creative Bruce Timm, the guy who made Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So when he said this is the first chapter, it's called Gods and Monsters, I went yeet and fell out of my chair at work. And my coworker Leanne was like, "Wow, Gods and Monsters must be cool, right?" And then he's like, "Oh, it's just the title of what I've lovingly labeled the phase. If you get the reference, you get the reference." And I was very mad. I was like, "Oh, come on!" One of two things is going to happen. One, he did this strategically because he saw during his production of Guardians 3 that the Marvel movies are in a bad spot, which, if Ant-Man's roller coaster downward spiral of a box office is any indication, his instincts are slightly on the money. Yeah. On the money, lol. Unlike Marvel. But yeah, I think he knows that after Guardians 3, a lot of Marvel fans are stepping off.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Guardians 3 and maybe Deadpool 3, and if Avengers Avengers 5 and 6, if the trailers look really good and the early screenings are like really, really good, maybe I'll see those. But I know for a fact that Guardians 3 is the last Marvel movie that I'm, like, genuinely ultra excited for and going to go out of my way to go see, maybe multiple times. I think he realizes that the Marvel market is kind of going to stagnate, so he's going to give us a chance to, like, breathe and then be like, hey, come check out DC.
Yeah.
Or he just, he had a unfortunate fine print mandate of releasing all the garbage first, which is why we're getting Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
I'm excited for Shazam.
As long as they reshot it to remove anything linking it to the universe at large, like the first movie.
Yeah.
The only reason I am bummed that Black Adam bombed so hard is because it took Henry Cavill and any Black Adam versus so-and-so stuff off the table when it fell. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see Dwayne Johnson punch out Henry Cavill. We're not going to see Shazam versus Black Adam. Ugh. I'm so bummed. Like, I know it was never going to be, like, peak fiction billion-dollar movie, but, like, I'm still bummed it didn't, like, make any money back.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was like a harmless 5 out of 10. I got what I wanted from it. I wanted to see Black Adam wreck the Justice Society, and I got what I wanted. So, like, it didn't deserve to bomb that hard, guys. Come on, you could have seen it to see Dwayne Johnson punch out Aldous Hodge. It was funny. Okay? It was funny. Then we have The Flash, which, ugh. They put $300 million into that movie, Jamie. $300 million.
No.
Which explains why the only thing we are seeing related to it, we saw one teaser, one full-length trailer, and anything we see going forward is just going to be snippets of those trailers. Because there is no way they are going to put as much money into the promotion of that.